We have new details in a CBS Colorado investigation. An underground plume of toxic chemicals is spewing from the Lowry landfill near hundreds of homes. The Lowry landfill is just east of E470 and Hampton Avenue in Arapahoe County. Studies show the underground chemical plume grew as far as 3 miles north of the landfill and underneath the Murphy Creek golf course. Kati Weis is your reporter in Arapahoe County. She's introducing us to community members demanding action to keep their neighborhood safe.
Let me see.
Bonnie Rader has followed pollution problems from the Lowry landfill since the 70s.
This is what they've investigated.
She remembers how chemical dumping at the site back then created irritating air pollution.
Kids would come in with headaches when they were outside playing. Once they covered the pits, we didn't have those problems anymore.
Because of that hazardous waste, the EPA designated Lowry landfill as a Superfund site, and millions of dollars were spent to clean it up. Despite those efforts, an underground plume of chemical waste escaped the site and flowed further north toward these homes in the Murphy Creek neighborhood of Aurora, and not far from where Rader lives.
This is where the chemicals are. They've tested along this road.
The EPA says the plume has been shrinking thanks to treatment operations, but take a look at EPA maps of the plume from 2021 and 2023. The size of the plume is essentially the same, and our analysis of EPA documents shows a chemical from the plume the EPA considers harmful to health, called 1,4-dioxane, was found last year at levels considered too high by EPA standards along Murphy Creek next to these subdivisions and townhomes.
We know there's dioxane down in these wells here, and their wells are just right across the road from them.
But the EPA says the plume is not directly underneath the homes, and private drinking wells nearby are regularly tested, and no contamination has been found in the last 17 years. And the EPA says hypothetical cancer risk to any future resident's private well is only 6 in a million.
The plume is probably under here.
Along the path of the plume, the community continues to grow.
And we're worried about what's going to happen underneath.
Rader also worries about PFAS, toxic forever chemicals that don't break down in the environment and are commonly found at landfills. But right now, PFAS testing isn't required at Superfund sites. That's expected to change in a couple of months, but until then, the EPA says even if PFAS were present, they wouldn't pose a risk because there aren't exposure pathways.
And this here is the water treatment plant.
While Rader admits there has been a lot of progress since this treatment facility went online, she feels it's not enough.
It can't treat everything.
A few years ago, Rader was appointed the chair of a citizens advisory group for Lowry landfill cleanup efforts. But funding for the group wasn't renewed, and she feels her pleas to government agencies for more serious actions have been ignored.
It's tiring because they just keep refusing to do the right thing. They're doing harm to our environment and possibly to people, and it's a wrong way for our government to be acting.
And Kati joins me now to go behind the story. Kati, what else is the EPA telling you, and how many people has this affected?
Oh, well, this is affecting a lot of people. I mean, there are hundreds of homes that are along that Murphy Creek neighborhood area that we showed you in the story. So this could be affecting quite a few people, both in the city of Aurora and unincorporated Arapahoe County. But if you're concerned about any potential health risk, we put some information on our website, cbscolorado.com.
I know that the EPA is also stressing that the contamination at this site is contained and highly monitored. How did you find out about this?
Yeah, so someone reached out to me, actually, a real estate agent in the community. You know, as a reporter, I like to try to keep as many sources as I can and try to stay in tune with some of the issues that are happening in my community, because this is actually near where I live as well. And someone said, hey, you should look into this. So I took a day to research and figure it out. And as soon as I started reading some of the documents, I thought, wow, this is kind of an issue that I should really be letting people, telling people about. It's important.
That was how I think a lot of people are going to feel when they see this story. Residents are also worried about potential contamination through sump pumps. Is that right?
Yeah. So you heard in the story that there's some concern, about potential, effects to water quality, things like that. But if the water is underground, it could also potentially affect, the water that is being pumped up into homes through sump pumps in your basement. And And so there are concerns there that potentially those chemicals could volatilize and affect, your health in your house. Yeah. And so that's something that has been studied, and we've also put that research on our website as well.
Really concerning stuff when you think about it. You also found that residents are concerned about a proposed recycling center that might be built there. What are they worried about when it comes to that?
Yeah, Michael. So because of the historical chemical dumping that happened there in that community, there's still a lot of these chemical pits underground that were sealed off that still have a lot of these hazardous chemicals in them. And some of the community members are worried that if a recycling facility were to be built there, construction could potentially disturb those underground pits and then cause them to breach, and more chemicals could potentially then, flow underground and affect nearby rivers and other water sources. So people are really worried about that. Right now, the project is still a proposal, but it sounds like it is moving forward.
Any sense as to how long it will take to completely solve this issue?
I wish I had a magic ball, 8-ball that could tell me, but I have no idea, to be honest. However, something I do know is that I'm going to keep following it until we, continue to see more actions put in place. I think that some of the things that community members are asking for, are just to be heard. And so as our job as reporters is that we help them, give them a voice and just let government agencies know, hey, this is what's happening. What are your thoughts? At the end of the day, our tax dollars fund these agencies, so it's important that we just make sure that, everyone is at the table with things like this. So I guess to be continued. I'll let you know what else I find out.
Well, you always do a great job of that wonderful reporting, as always, Katie. Thank you. You can see more of Katie's work on our website, cbscolorado.com, and right here on CBS News Colorado.